Hello again, everybody! Zach Attack is here with my TNA Impact Wrestling review for tonight, Thursday, May the 2nd, 2013. Alright, this is once again taped from Indiana, Pennsylvania. My thoughts on tonight's Impact, where we found out who would take on the TNA World Heavyweight Champion Bully Ray at the pay-per-view in June, Slammiversary. Plus, it was okay Impact tonight, some weird things. The main event to determine the number one contender who I'll mention who fought in the main event in a moment because we found that out in our first segment. Kind of a weird ending, but nonetheless, we will begin Impact tonight from Indiana, Pennsylvania. Okay Impact tonight with Hulk Hogan coming out, talking about what happened last week, with what happened with Sting. Of course, Sting and Hulk Hogan have not been on the best of friends for the last couple weeks, since, of course, Bully Ray's big betrayal at Lockdown in March. Sting led Hogan to believe that Bully Ray was the guy, that Bully Ray was the right guy, was going to be the guy to fight off Ace and Eights. Of course, we all found out, like I mentioned, that Bully Ray was indeed and is the president of TNA. Not TNA, but Aces and Eights, per se. And Hogan didn't, lost his trust in Sting after what happened. But Hogan kind of, turned the other cheek, should I say. Kind of turned the page and kind of learned his lesson, as he told Sting to come out. Of course, Sting came out to help Hulk Hogan last week when Hogan was cornered in a one-on-one situation with Bully Ray, which turned into basically Ace and Eights surrounding the ring. That's when Sting came out, like I fully predicted in my last week's review, that Sting was going to come out and help Hogan and try to help patch up their relationship, which is exactly what happened in this opening segment. If Hogan's saying, I pushed so many people away in this turmoil issue, trying to take care of family and Brooke's marriage with Bully Ray, that I kind of pushed you away, Sting, because of my questioning trust in you. At this whole debacle, I was trying to figure out so many things that the Bully Ray did this to us. And I should have not been pushing you away. We should have been closer. We should have banded together this whole entire time instead of at each other's throats. But with that, Hogan and Sting patched things up. And were trying to finally solve their problems, and Sting was finally on the same page with Hogan, with, of course, announcing that next week's main event would be a 6-man tag, with Sting teaming up with 2 guys. We will find out one of them later on, and the third guy could be a mysterious person, which we'll find out soon enough, against 3 members of Aces and Eights. But, of course, Hogan's like, that's next week, Sting. I will talk about who am I going to name the number 1 contender against Bully Ray for the title. Well, here comes Matt Morgan. Of course, we saw what happened last week. Matt Morgan offered Hogan the opportunity of making him the number 1 contender for the title. And he's like, you're not going to hand me a title shot? Yeah, you're going to basically lead up to handing out Sting, according to my crystal ball, as he would say. Making another Hogan mistake? Well, Hogan's like, well, I'm not going to make another mistake. I'm going to make a match tonight. Hogan declared that Sting would face off against Matt Morgan tonight, like I mentioned. Then we would find out the number 1 contender for Bully Ray's title. And it would be Sting against Matt Morgan to determine who would face Bully Ray at Slammiversary for the world title. So let's see who that would be. But now on with the action. X Division qualifying time as we finally saw the return of Chris Sabin in a triple threat number 1 contenders match, qualifying match, against Zima Ion and Sanjay Dutt. Now, Chris Sabin being back in the ring. Like I said about these triple threat matches, I said in my attack line earlier today that these triple threat matches in the X Division makes it more of a spotlight, which is what it was. Very high-paced action. But back to Chris Sabin, like I said, he came back tonight, first time in over a year. He looked really good in this matchup. He didn't re-injure himself again like he did the last time he came back. But still, he looked very good in the matchup. He went fine. He didn't limp or anything. You didn't see any noticeable things happening with his legs. But it was a decent high-flying matchup. Very good spots in there with some triple pins at one point, and of course double moves. Great high-flying action. Typical X Division spot fest kind of good. As in Sanjay and Zima looked very good in this matchup as well. But it was Chris Sabin nailing with his brand new finishing move. I did see him try to attempt the Cradle Shot, his former finisher, But he's got a new finisher, a modified Fisherman's Buster, picking up Zima over his head, kind of a new move. I don't know the real name of the move yet. He'll probably reveal that soon enough. But 1, 2, 3, Chris Sabin advances to the next triple threat match for the X Division Championship. It's good to see Sabin back in the singles ranks. I wish he had Shelley back in the tag team division. Of course, I mentioned my qualms about the tag team division last week, and I'll prove my qualms are indeed ethical when I, indeed, talk about the tag team division doing a segment, which led to another match made next week besides the 6-man tag between Sting and his army against 3 members of Aces and Eights. So Sabin wins, and will get himself a shot at the title. I hope Sabin wins the title eventually. I don't know if he's going to win it straight off the bat, but I bet you Chris Sabin will have at least one more run at being the TNA X Division champion, and maybe one day finally being World Champion. Same with Petey Williams, who's also back in TNA. So Chris Sabin, a decent opener with Impact, great high-flying X Division match. Sabin gets the victory, pinning Zima Iron, which basically leaves Zima Iron back in the bottom of the barrel when it comes to qualifying for another X Division Championship match. Now on to our next matchup, which is a 3-on-1 handicap match, as the 3 douchebags, specifically 2 douchebags, team up with a lesser douche. Of course, Robbie E and Jesse still had the problems with Rob Terry. Of course, Rob Terry defeated Jesse last week despite every interference possible by Robbie E. So Robbie E and Jesse were going to take on Rob Terry in a handicap match. They got a third guy. The second biggest douche in TNA besides Robbie E, Joey Wyatt. They were made for loving each other. They were made for each other. Making my own little Kiss parody because Joey Wyatt and Robbie E, as we all know, in my opinion, I've said it all along. If you've been watching my reviews for the last 2 years, that I've always said about Robbie E and Joey Wyatt, the 2 of the biggest douchebags, talentless douchebags in TNA, and should be fired soon. They're both douches. Like, their characters are douches. You know, like the person, I don't care, but I just wish that their characters and them would be fired. But anyway, they would end up being a triple threat match. So Jesse and the 2 douches, Robbie E and Joey Wyatt, a match made in heaven, in my opinion, because, like I said, the 2 douches finally together, because they're both douches and assholes. They were in a handicap match against Rob Terry. It seemed that, from on paper, it looked like it was going to be an easy squash for Rob Terry. Well, actually, Rob Terry actually had to fight to win this fight, as the numbers game would kind of be up in the favor of Jesse, Robbie E, and Joey Wyatt, as they would kind of triple team all over Robbie Terry at one point. Of course, Rob Terry did come into the House of Fire, dominating all over. But of course, like I said, the numbers game, being a handicap match, went to the favor of Robbie E, Joey, and Jesse, triple teaming, isolating Rob in their corner. But as they were finally teaming up, all 3 of them trying to triple team on Robin, almost getting the win for their team. Indeed, Terry shoved all 3 of them as they were making a dog pile all over Rob. But then, of course, gave a double suplex for Jesse and Robbie E, which left Joey Wyatt all alone to get the Freak Buster in a 1-2-3 victory for Rob Terry. Like I said, Rob Terry had to fight for the squash victory, but still, Rob Terry won nonetheless over the 2 douches and a lesser douche, I call it. Or this should be called the 3 douches. But at least 2 of the biggest douches on that team, Robbie E and Joey Wyatt. Now we're on the next segment, which did 2 things. One, proved why I say last week that the tag team division in TNA is lacking, and also planted more seeds for a possible Fortune reunion. As we saw last week, Cass and Daniels are trying to get at least some of Fortune back together. Trying to talk to Bobby Roode about joining Fortune again, which of course went on towards the tag team title match last week with Roode and Aries, trying to team up despite the seeds being in Bobby's head about reforming Fortune with Cass and Daniels. And then that's how this segment kind of started with Aries and Roode talking about losing the tag team title match last week against Chavo Guerrero and Hernandez, and also talking about this whole Fortune thing about reuniting And they're saying that basically Wood and Aries are world champions, that are former tag champs, want to be tag champs again, which led to Bad Influence coming out, talking about, being official that these two will fight. Once a fucking again, these two teams are going to fight Chavo Hernandez. Like I said, my point made last week proven. I said last week during my review that the tag team division TNA, which was so strong, look, about 2 or 3 years ago, you had so many good tag teams. You had Jen Me, you had Beer Money, you had British Invasion, you had Team 3D, you had Triple X reunion for a while with, of course, Christopher Daniels and Primetime Eric Skipper. And the other guy, I forgot the other guy in there. But anyway, so you had so many good tag teams, yet they all gone in the last couple of years or broke up. In my mind, they should try to make. I would love them to bring back Chris Harris and try to reunite another tag team. Forget about reuniting Fortune. How about trying to get America's Most Wanted back together again? Chris Harris and Storm, because Storm's not going anywhere. That's what they should do. They want to hype up the tag team division, bring back Shelly, and have Saban team up with them again for the reunited Bullets and Machine Guns. Bring back Chris Harris and reunite the America's Most Wanted. At least do that, or at least make new tag teams. I know they got this Joker's Wild tag team pay-per-view coming up. That's airing tomorrow on pay-per-view. Hopefully they can make a tag team out of those teams. I don't care. Just make a team. Like I said, they just put Aries and Rude together, and that combination will just make new tag teams to try to amp up the division. So once again, Chavo Hernandez is tag champs, and once again, the same two teams are fighting over them: Bad Influence and Aries and Rude. So Chavo Hernandez came out with this babbling with Bad Influence and Rude and Aries, and saying that in your number one contenders match next week, the referee is James Storm. That could really hype up the seeds planted for the Fortune reunion. Something could happen in that match that could really make Wu finally turn his back on Aries and finally kind of reunite Fortune. And Storm may be involved in that too, especially since he's going to be the referee in this match next week. So we got, once again, the same 3 teams that's feuding over the titles with Bad Influence and John and Rude and Aries fighting in their 1 millionth number one contenders match for their 1 millionth match against Chavo and Hernandez. That's next week. That's what I'm saying, man. My point is proven that the tag team division TNA was so strong. It was even better than WWE's tag team division for a while. Yeah, WWE's tag team division, they got a lot of good teams in WWE. The booking's still not good, as we all know, but at least WWE's got more than 3 teams. You got, Road Scholars in there, PTP. You get some decent teams in WWE, but where's all those teams in TNA? Where's all those good teams that were once there that I thought TNA's tag division was so good? So many great things, especially when Beer Money and Machine Guns were still together. Those 2 teams put on some excellent matches. And Team PD, maybe they can reunite. Even though it's an Ace and Eights now, they did tease a Team 3D reunion a few weeks ago when they 3D'd Storm through a table. So who knows? Maybe Storm could, like I said, they could plant Storm to reunite with Harris the feud against Team 3D. That's what I think should happen. Team 3D reunion, America's Most Wanted reunion, and maybe a Machine Gun reunion to kind of heat up tag team division. By the way, before I go any further with this review, I forgot to mention something. In the X Division match, of course, Saban, who I would like to team up with Shelly again down the road, will be in the next X Division title match. Last week they said they were going to make the fans choose who would come back to be in the next qualifying match in a couple weeks in Tampa. Of all people, Suicide got voted in. Who's going to play Suicide? Kaz, Daniels, or somebody else? Because Kaz and Daniels, of course, as we all know, switched playing Suicide. If you're going to bring back Suicide, I'm going to bring back the Chinese wrestler that Daniels played. With the silly mask. Forgot his name. Wore like a yellow mask. Wore like a sailor's hat. And it was Daniel's under a mask besides Suicide. Dang, I forgot his name. I always remember everything. He's a Chinese guy. I'll find out. Anyway, so seeing tag teams feuding over the titles proved my point about the tag team division in TNA lacking. I thought the Knockouts division sucked a little bit now. But tag team divisions, well, they need to hype it up. Please get some reuniting. ANW and T50 reunions. Just try to get new tag teams together in the meantime. Now, on our next matchup, the Open Challenge. Kurt Angle issuing an open challenge to any member of the Aces and Eights. And all the Aces and Eights members were fighting over who they think should be the guy, blah, 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 blah. And it was the VP. D'Lo Brown, the guy has been kind of a thorn in Angle's side, screwing Angle out of so many matches against Aces and Eights, specifically matches against Briscoe and Bischoff. He was going to be the one to finally end Angle's, finally put an end to Angle. And he said that it's Curry Man. That was it. That was the guy I was talking about, the Chinese guy. They want to bring back Suicide, but bringing back Curry Man. That's what I'm trying to say in that exhibition thing I was talking about just a few moments ago. Anyway, so D'Lo he decided to put up his colors in Ace and Eights on the line. Literally, by declaring that this match against Angle will no longer be a regular match. It was an I Quit match. So, it wasn't, like, I've seen a lot of good I Quit matches in my day. Especially Ric Flair and Mick Foley at SummerSlam 06. By my mind, one of my favorite I Quit matches was just so bloody and violent. Yet some would say the greatest I Quit match of all time is Ric Flair and Terry Funk. But there was not much violence in that match, not a lot of blood. Maybe not all I Quit matches need to have blood and violence. Such was this I Quit match. Not a lot of violence, even with Ace and Eights at ringside. They did not get involved, surprisingly. Like, all of Ace and Eights were at ringside at one time, Anderson, and basically leaving D'Lo to the wolves, basically, to try to find out for himself without cheating, with other members getting involved. They did use the ring post, but not much weapons. You know, for an I Quit match, to have no weapons in them. I know this is TV, but come on, you need to put some sort of violent effort in this match. And D'Lo, even without the help of Ace and Eights, and with them at ringside, D'Lo took control for most of the matchup. Beating the crap out of Angle, like I said, kneeling him on the ring post, the only weapon really used in this matchup. It caught a cross armbar, and Angle, despite being in pain in this cross armbar, refused to say, I quit. And then Angle tried to ankle lock many times on D'Lo, but D'Lo always reversed and got out of it before being put in that position to say, I quit or not. It was a decent, okay matchup. For being an I Quit match, it was nothing violent. Should have been more violent, more bloody, more weapons used. But for being an okay wrestling match, but this is an I Quit match, so I was kind of like disappointed with it. With not much more violence for being an I Quit no DQ match. Anyway, it was like more of a wrestling match than a violent match. But anyway, Angle powered back. And of course, D'Lo got control back and really controlled Angle, especially nailing with the injured arm that he's been focused on. And after D'Lo delivers some more, drop Angle. Got the ankle lock again, but of course D'Lo rolled through on it again. But the Angle hold on to it, putting him in a grapevine, holding onto the ankle really hard, really gripping it. Gripping the ankle lock in. And D'Lo unfortunately tried to fight his way out of it, but D'Lo had no other choice but to indeed yell the words, I quit. As D'Lo wagged in pain, all the rest of Ace and Eight sitting at ringside behind the barricade walked out in disgust. And of course, Bully Ray was not happy with what happened with D'Lo, basically saying I quit and putting up his colors in Ace and Eight. Is D'Lo fired? Well, Bully Ray said he'll take care of D'Lo next week. But Angle had something to take care of for next week tonight, concerning who would be the third man to team up with him and Sting. Yes, Angle would be the second guy to declare himself to team up with Sting against 3 men of Ace and Eights next week. And of course, after the match, he questioned AJ yet again. Of course, AJ, I said this last week, maybe it's like pulling what Sting did. When Sting was, going through his dark period when he put on the dark makeup saying he was a free agent and not saying what side he's on. He didn't speak for months and show what side he was on for months. Just hyping up his storyline and not saying a word or showing his true allegiance. That's where I think they're going with this AJ thing. AJ's not showing no real true allegiance to either TNA or Ace and Eights. And of course, Angle was trying to once again talk AJ into joining Team TNA, specifically teaming up with him and Sting against Ace and Eights to really show that he's indeed part of Team TNA. Basically, you're with us or you're against us, AJ. And indeed, Angle's like, AJ, you better think of a decision next week, buddy. You're with us or against us, so there we go. So we got at least 2 out of the 3 men in Team TNA next week, Angle and Sting, and a third man to be determined whether it's AJ or not. And after discussing D'Lo and their problems with D'Lo after this I Quit match, Bully Ray declared that the 3 men to take on Angle, Sting, and whoever would team up with them would be Devon, Anderson, and him. So it'll be Bully Ray, Devon, and Anderson to take on Sting and Angle and the mystery partner next week. Now on to our next match, a Knockouts tag. Gail, Kim, and Tara trying to get revenge on Tara and 12 for defeating them both in one-on-one competition. Teaming up with Mickie James. Mickie James may be teasing a heel tournament, sensing it for months, especially after Mickie lost to Bella Sky last week. But Mickey's still a face for now. But I say somewhere down the line, Mickie James will finally turn heel. Been sensing that for months. He said it a few months ago. But maybe ain't Mickie James being heel, but the heel talk's died down. If TNA can turn Mickie James heel in the Knockouts, why can't they really turn Orton or Cena heel? Anyway, now story another day. Taryn and Mickie, basically, Taryn got a hold of Gail and Tara to begin the match, basically brawled on both of them before, of course, it came down to Gail and Taryn in the ring to begin the matchup formally. And, of course, the faces, Mickie and Taryn, really took advantage for the first half of the matchup, really beating the crap of both Gail and Tara. Until indeed, Gail and Tara got back on the winning ways and isolated Mickie and Taryn. And, of course, doing some great double teaming, specifically behind ODB's back when Taryn Terrell was trying to get in, when Mickie was put in predicaments. Basically, it was Mickie getting a butt whip for most of the majority of the match by Gail and Tara. And Taryn and Gail were working pretty well as a team. Well, of course, for being former WWE divas. I think the entire wing was full of former WWE divas. Because Taryn Terrell was Tiffany, and of course, the other 3 were in WWE. Taryn was Victoria. Anyway, so after the heels took control of, like I said, the second half of the matchup, but indeed, after Mickie James and Gail both went for cross bodies, of course, both rendering them to get the hot tags of both Taryn and Tara. Of course, Tara came out like a house of fire, going all over Tara, beating the crap out of her with a snap suplex. But after Taryn go for a crossbody, Gail Kim broke the count, preventing Taryn to win. But of course, Mickie James came to take Gail out of the equation. And as Mickie and Gail fought on the outside, Taryn rolled up. Tara with a 1-2-3 as Taryn once again gets a victory over Tara, this time in a tag team affair. But as Mickie and Taryn were celebrating the victory, Tara and Gail double teamed on both Mickie and Taryn post-match beatdown. As Mickie and Tara fought towards the back, it was left to Gail and Taryn in the middle of the ring. Of course, Gail, after months and months of feuding with Taryn, especially losing to Taryn a few weeks ago, wanted revenge big time as she beat the crap out of Taryn, leading up to a fatal 4 on the ring post, before finally getting broken up by ODB and the other male referees. So, Gail finally sent a big message to Taryn saying, your wins against me and Tara were a fluke to us, and we're taking you out, bitch, before you step up even further in the division. So Taryn's probably had the storyline ankle injury after being figured forward by Gail on the ring post. So there you go. Taryn and Mickie gets the tag team victory, but Taryn doesn't walk out on her own will, getting figured forward on the post by Gale. Now on to our main event to, of course, determine the #1 contender for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship at Slammiversary. Sting against Matt Morgan. Speaking of Slammiversary, I went to Slammiversary 09 at the Palace 4 years ago, and Sting and Matt Morgan fought then. When, of course, Sting was, of course, the so-called godfather of another clique, the Main Event Mafia. Remember that, people? Kurt Angle, Booker T, Sting. Matt Morgan wanted to join. And Sting fought Morgan at Slammiversary 09, so they fought again tonight for a shot at the championship at this year's Slammiversary. So, anyway, Sting really came in like a house of fire, especially with the renewed friendship between him and Hogan. Matt Morgan came out with that robe that Hogan was talking about that he wore when he fought Andre the Giant the first time at Shea Stadium, 1980, before the big one here in Michigan, Pontiac Silverdome, WrestleMania 3, 26 years ago. Anyway, but indeed, Matt Morgan, being the blueprint and being a 6'3", 300-pound guy, he really threw his weight around on Sting for the later half of this matchup, beating him outside the ring. It seemed that Matt Morgan was going to get the title shot, despite him being a heel, being in TNA. So Morgan really dominated over Sting, nailing him at the ring post, winning him against the barricades, and really, indeed, focusing on making fun of Hulk Hogan, doing a leg drop off the middle rope, trying to get into Hogan's head about being frustrated about being pushed in the back of the line, not being promoted enough because of Hogan. Blah, 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 blah. So as Bluebeard was focusing more on trying to make Hogan look impressed instead of being up Sting, Sting got back up eventually, and of course, Stinged up, iconed up, when you want to use it for his way of hulking up, stinging up, whatever. And indeed, Sting came back with a right hand, and of course, Morgan tried to fight back with a scoop slam and going for a splash, but indeed, Sting got out of that way and nailed a Stinger splash for Morgan's helping. And Sting tried many times for a Scorpion Deathlock and even got the Corbin footprint at one point nailed by Morgan. But I think there was a little botch on that when Sting got pinned by Morgan. 1, 2, I don't know if it was Sting botching it or referee botching the count. Like he just went to 1, 2, and then he waited for Sting to put his arm up. So I think Sting kind of forgot to do the cue on the 1. It was like 1, 2. Then Sting's arm was up. It should be like 1, 2. So that was, in my mind, I think there was a little botch there with Sting or the referee with the 2 count after the common footprint. But the execution of that kick out, whether it was scripted or not, a little bit mistimed. Anyway, but indeed, Sting finally got the Scorpion Deathlock. He got it on once or twice, but the second time was the killer. And unfortunately, I said in the beginning that the ending was kind of screwy. This is the ending. Sting basically held down the Scorpion Deathlock for the longest time without Morgan tapping out. And basically, Matt Morgan passed out from the pain, pulling a Stone Cold Steve Austin back in '97. When, of course, we all know Stone Cold passed up in a pool of blood in his I Quit match with Bret Hart at WrestleMania 13 after Bret nailed the sharpshooter. That's what I thought almost happened. And ironically, of course, people compare the Scorpion Deathlock to the sharpshooter. That's what kind of really reminded me of what happened. Matt Morgan passing out, but he wasn't bleeding. So it's kind of a screwy ending of determining Sting as the new #1 contender for Bully Ray. So Morgan passed out for the Scorpion Deathlock, and Sting got the victory. And after Sting celebrated, here comes Bully Ray to face his new opponent for Slammiversary, Sting, and of course getting ready for the big 6-man tag next week with Devon, Bully Ray, and Anderson take on Sting, Kurt Angle, and of course the third partner to be determined whether it's AJ or not. So there you go. That's how we end Impact tonight in Indiana, Pennsylvania. Of course, Kurt Angle's hometown. That's right. It was kind of really more special to Angle to end this feud with D'Lo in his home state of Pennsylvania. So it's kind of an okay Impact with Chris Sabin winning, getting another opportunity to regain the X Division Championship after being gone for so long. A point proven once again by why I think the TNA Tag Division sucks and need to reunite AEW or Team 3D, or both specifically, while building new tag teams while reforming old ones, in my opinion. And of course, Sting now to face Bully Ray for the X for night there, the TNA World title. 2 matches, of course, made next week. That off-mentioned 6-man tag with Ace and Ace against Sting, Angle, and the Mystery Partner. It also made next week. Once again, like I said, proving my point, Tech Division sucks. The same 2 teams fighting over the titles yet again. Kaz and Daniels against Aries and Rude with Storm as referee, which I think could really further plant seeds for a possible Fortune reunion. Something's going to happen, like Rude's going to screw Aries, or Storm's going to screw somebody, and maybe we fall Fortune in some way, shape, or form. And maybe AJ may get involved too. Who knows? That is it for my TNA Impact review for tonight. I'll see you all later. Have a great weekend, especially here in Michigan, when it was like, what, 70, 75 today? Really good weather out today. Jordan's nice weather. While it lasts, especially here in Michigan, before it gets cold again, it gets warm again for summer. That is it. Like I said, thank you all very much for watching. With that in mind, you've all been attacked by the review from Zach. See you later. Yeah.